Hello and welcome to Ghostability with myself, Paranormal Mitch.
And Paranormal Tej.
We have an episode today that we are really excited about. We are talking about the difference between paranormal investigation and paranormal entertainment.
Yes, this is something that I thought we should break down in detail because it's just something that is a super hot topic of conversation in the paranormal field as a whole right now, more than it's really ever been. This is always something that pretty much any guest that ever comes on our show talks about. We mention it in passing all of the time in commentary. You may hear other people say it. And we thought it would be helpful just to break it down in detail, what each area means, what it may look like, how to know what to look for when you're watching paranormal content. Because I just, it's something that gets thrown around all the time and nobody ever really explains it.
Yeah, and I think it's tough now because there's not a clear barrier between the two. It's
and
not
sometimes
like
it can be very hard to tell.
of
when
course
you're
very hard
watching.
to tell. And I think it's great that we have access to all this great information, like
Right.
and with all these different streaming platforms and TV shows
Right.
and things like that. Like that's amazing, but it's not like they start the episode and say, this is entertainment or this is factual.
Right.
A lot of times the line is very blurred.
And that comes down to, too, something we talk about all the time in terms of like ethics is like, there's no regulating authority of any kind on the paranormal. Anybody can do it. Anybody can, make videos. Anybody can put information out there. So really, the judgment of what is what in a lot of ways is up to the consumer, especially when people aren't always transparent on purpose. A lot of times I see like paranormal investigators will be very transparent about what they're doing, whereas paranormal entertainment a lot of times likes to fly under the radar under the guise of paranormal investigation. So, as a viewer, there are different things that you can look for in a video that you're watching, whether it be a short or whether it be, a full long form 2-hour investigation you're watching, to know what you're watching. Because, when we are making evaluations of the paranormal, not everything in paranormal entertainment fits, neatly into what everybody would consider evidence. And so it is important that we recognize what's what, so that we can further our understanding of the field. This is not to say like this is going to be a rip on paranormal entertainment episode. Like that's not what this is. There is value in both, to be honest with you. But it's more about watching with a critical eye. And we'll talk about pros and cons on both sides because I think it falls under both, and it's just a matter of what the viewer likes.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to mention this isn't a new problem.
No,
this has been something that's been going on for a very long time, and we've talked in the past about a couple different things. I think the spiritualist movement is an episode we did recently that the whole entire thing was where's the line? Is it investigative? Is it entertainment? People are paying for it, so there was kind of a need to make it entertaining, but
yeah,
this is not a new problem. But
and I think it really started to like it got really big, especially with like more people making content, doing content creation. But like I remember when the Paranormal Activity movies came out. And like a lot of people thought those Paranormal Activity movies were real because it was like that found footage paranormal style of movie. And so people are like, oh, it's found footage. That's real footage. Like I remember the buzz around those movies was, oh my God, can you believe this is real? You watch them now and you're like, oh my God, how fake is that? But at the time, I mean, like, we were like, oh, that's real footage.
Do you remember when the Blair Witch Project came out?
I mean, it's like
and everyone was like this, and they made like, didn't they make a social media account or something? And everyone's like, oh my God, this is a real thing. And it says in the beginning, this is real footage.
Yeah.
And it's like it's become very challenging. I think
and this
for
based
a purpose,
on a true story thing is used more and more flexibly in paranormal entertainment, where it's like, oh yeah, based on a true story, meaning like the name of the house is the same and the rest of it's not real.
Well, I mean, based on the true story is something that's been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
I mean, think of like old even books and things like that were based on real events.
Yep.
They were based on like Dracula was based on a real person and like different things like that. So we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yes.
Let's stop a little bit. Let's kind of reframe
do
here
the
for
breakdown
a second.
we said
Let's
we
do
were
the
going to do.
breakdown and that
instead of the ranch.
You can clearly see that this is a topic we could talk about for forever.
Yes.
But let's put some definitions in place.
Yes.
Let's talk about paranormal research first.
Yeah, paranormal
investigation, yes. And let's put a clear boundary on what the goal is and what we're trying to achieve with, our paranormal investigations.
All right.
So, you want to start with that, or do you want me to?
Hit it, Captain, and I'll tack on.
So, really, we have to remember that our main goal is research, documentation, and understanding.
Yeah, in a paranormal investigation.
In the paranormal investigation. I think the hard part about that a lot of times is you have to go into it understanding that there's probably going to be a lot of questions you don't get answered.
Mm-hmm.
And that's perfectly fine. But there's a lot of, a gathering of facts. There's a lot of things that feel very repetitive, but ruling out
a lot of
debunking, and that's not super exciting.
Right.
If there's an EMF meter that's going off in someone by a wall,
right.
It would be way cooler if it was, a ghost doing things. It's super lame if it's an electrical wire behind the wall, but that's real life.
Right. But it shows, the device is going off, and a responsible paranormal investigator is going to say, hey, this is a wiring issue.
Exactly.
They're not going to say, hey, this is a ghost. You check for the ordinary before you claim paranormal.
Yes.
So one thing about paranormal investigations, when you're watching them, you either get a quite shorter episode that you're watching, and the highlights are put into that episode, and it's like the investigation team spent 8 hours at that location, and you're getting to watch 30 minutes because the rest of it was people sitting around in a circle talking and eating pretzels.
Yes.
Whereas, these like movie length productions where somebody went to a location for, 3 hours and comes back with a 2-hour video of their experience. Like, there's questions to be had there, because at investigations, things are not happening the entire time. It is not happening the entire time.
And most of the time things aren't happening.
Right.
Most of the time it's like literally
you're chilling with your friends.
You're chilling with your friends, you're setting up, you're walking around, you're complaining because it's really cold outside.
Yeah.
All these things. It's not super fun, right? Now, it's not to say that it isn't entertainment.
Right.
There are a lot of things like if someone has a really great personality, or if really cool things happen, that's awesome.
Right.
Right. And that's amazing, but it has to be within the lens of, investigation.
Yes. And I see a lot, this person, there are a lot of content creators who are very, very talented content creators who are also very talented investigators. I've met a ton of them. They are still entertaining to watch. That's not to say you're watching boring content all the time if you're watching an investigation. They just fill in the entertainment in other ways. So this might be, somebody is just a super funny human being to be around. This may be, you may get entertainment because you're working with a, prankster of a spirit, and, they have a funny personality. Or, things are happening, or somebody tripped and fell when they were walking into the woods to the investigation site. It's the more human nature of entertainment versus like this high activity is the entertainment value. That's not to say that legitimate paranormal investigators don't get high activity. They do. It's the difference of, is it performative or is it documentation? Paranormal investigators, obviously this goes without saying, but paranormal investigators are not staging, at least ethical ones. Shouldn't be staging.
Ooh, damn.
If you are staging content, that's a paranormal entertainment situation.
Correct.
If you are setting things up in a room in such a way, or working your camera angle to make something look bigger than it was, that can start going into paranormal entertainment. Paranormal investigations typically have lower production value and quality. And it is more about the documentation of the experience and showing the real experience that the people had. So it's almost like, when I'm looking for a good paranormal investigator to watch, I'm looking for somebody where like I feel like I was on that trip with them. I was watching, I was learning, and I was, seeing things for what they were, and it is not dramatized in any way, even if the person you're watching, again, has a good personality, because there are a lot of great investigators that have great personalities and you enjoy watching them. But, it's not the this is entertaining, it's the this is real and the person is the entertainment.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's also important to mention the education aspect of this.
yes,
I
absolutely.
think that a lot of times, if you have a really good paranormal investigator, their goal is to make sure everyone around them understands what's going on,
How they got the results.
how they got their results, and
How you came to the
theoretically how they
conclusions.
came to a conclusion and how it could be replicated.
Right.
Right. It's like an experiment.
Right.
That's the goal, is to educate people and to find that out. So a lot of times, if you have, I mean, I think of really good investigators we worked with in the past,
Mhm.
Like Shane, who's been on our podcast,
Yeah.
is a fabulous paranormal
Right.
investigator. And his first thing is, hey, this is what I got. Let me show you how I got there.
Right.
And let me show you, I'm going to let you take in all this information and you draw your own conclusions.
Right.
Which is a really healthy way to go about it, because you're not telling someone how they should be feeling about something. Right. But it allows people to come to really natural conclusions, but it also allows them to learn.
Right. And, if you're dealing with an investigator, typically what you'll see is like, these people are doing a lot of education. These are people who are showing you with transparency how their equipment works, because viewers don't always know how the equipment works. They just care if it turned on by itself or not.
Yeah.
And a good investigator is going to say, hey, let me show you how to set this thing off so you can see that it's not me doing it, right? If you're using a motion activated tool, like, this is where the motion detector is. This is what it looks like. Now you can watch me turning it to face away from me. Seeing those types of things and seeing those behaviors and, seeing people want to help others understand that is always a major green flag for me, that this is a genuine paranormal investigator and not just somebody who is doing paranormal entertainment. Again, the morals and, the ethics behind the investigation is another huge piece of a paranormal investigation. Typically, genuine, investigators, ethics is very important to them.
Mhm.
Both investigation ethics, just in terms of technique, but also in terms of how the spirits are treated. I, very often when I see like this provoking and this loud behavior and this, show yourself, like that kind of stuff that you see, that's when I'm like, ooh, this is like entertainment, and they're provoking the spirits to get a response for that video, right? Like, typically investigators are a lot more calm, collected, patient, wait for things to happen, do it on the spirit's terms, and that's always what I look for when I'm looking for a good investigator to watch.
Cool. I think we summed that up really well. Let's get into paranormal entertainment. So I think some of the things we talked about are kind of opposite.
Yeah.
So let's break down a couple of those things. Let's start with the main goal, right? Which I think is huge to mention. The main goal is the audience enjoying the content,
right,
or whatever it may be, and them finding it entertaining. That is the main goal. And however you get to that, exactly, however you get to that conclusion could be a variety of ways.
Right.
It could be, like we said, something that's set up. It could be provoking spirits. It could be a movie that's, blatantly not true,
right,
but it shows a paranormal investigator and all these kind of things. Like, I love a scary movie as much as the next person, but you have to understand that that's a totally different thing that's happening.
Yeah.
And once again, it's hard to find that variability, especially with those things you talked about earlier, the Blair Witch Project and all that kind of stuff. But the goal is entertainment.
The big reaction is always my indicator.
Oh,
yeah, like, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. If you're a paranormal investigator, you have seen one of these damn Maglite flashlights turn on 10,000 times.
Tell them.
Like, it is not a big deal. Like, the flashlight turned on. Okay, it'll probably do it 15 more times in the next 2 hours. Great. If you're watching someone and they're like, I've been investigating for 15 years, and like the flashlight turns on or the REM pod goes off once, and they're like, oh my God, can you believe it?
We have a picture of an orb.
Yeah,
like don't get me wrong, it's cool.
and
is cool.
it can be fun to watch
and
people get a kick out of it. But like, that's an indicator to me that I'm watching somebody whose goal is to entertain, not to investigate.
Which, once again, we're not hating on that.
No,
that's
we're not.
awesome. We're just trying to find the line between the two.
Right. And that's just something I look for. Or when it's like, and sometimes, investigators get shocked by things and they're like, oh my God, did that really just happen? And you'll see a reaction. But I'm more talking about like the big blown out reaction. The other thing that I can always tell, and I never watch these, is the cover photo of the video, like the thumbnail.
Oh, I was gonna say like the music that goes with it.
Yeah.
The music, it's like really
and the sound effects
and dark.
The sound effects.
You wouldn't believe what we captured in Taylor's house.
And like the talking in that voice, like that very distinct voice, like to sound mysterious, And again, some of these people are so good at it. Like I could never do it. That's not my personality. Like if I tried to be mysterious, I would be laughing just the entire time at myself. Like I can't do it. The people that do it, honestly, it's impressive. Like they're great at acting and it is entertaining to watch. But you have to understand, like that is their goal, is to entertain you, not necessarily to give you the cleanest evidence pile you've ever seen in terms of the paranormal. Again, no hate on them. They have their thing. It's just, that's one of the things. The thumbnail in the video is a huge tell though. Those like really heavily produced, heavily edited thumbnails of a video where everybody on the cover photo is like, that's like a really good way that I'm like, okay, this is going to be paranormal entertainment. Like we're looking shocked on every cover photo. And it's always like, we found a demon at.
Oh, it's the demon claim.
The demon plot.
It's always the demon plot line.
The people who run into a demon at every location. That's another good way, because what is the demon plot at this point, right? The demon plot at this point is clickbait. If you find, I found a demon at this location, this location, and this location, people are going to naturally be very curious. What does that look like? How do I, let's watch. And so just like those very, like the catchy titles and the catchy thumbnail, where it's just to produce this shock value right out the jump, is always very good, a good sign that you're watching paranormal entertainment. Again, some of these people are, talented beyond belief. Like they should act in horror movies. But it blurs a line, because a lot of people think that is what a paranormal investigation is like, and it is simply not. Like I don't think I've ever screamed at a paranormal investigation. It's like people aren't screaming, yelling, and running and going crazy the entire time. Like that is something that is done to keep you as a viewer on your toes.
Yes.
Keep you engaged, keep you watching, make you feel like the paranormal activity that is being experienced is bigger than it is.
And let's remember that it's not to say that it has never happened, but it might happen once.
Right. It's not every
time. But if it's every single time, there's kind of like a similar flow, there's a similar scene, there's a similar, we were at this house and we talked to the spirits in the bedroom that died in the fire. And you're like, whoa, like chill out for a sec. Like, well, what are we doing here? The other thing I want to mention too, and this is kind of a side note, I feel like most of the time when our spirits here are fun, but I feel like a lot of times when we go to investigations, most of the spirits there are pretty chill.
Yeah, they are.
Right? Like they're not talking about like demons or all the kind of stuff. Like we talked to the one guy at Oz Park and he was like, man, I love baseball.
Yeah.
I love the Cubs. I like watching kids play. And you're
that's boring to some people.
It's boring to some
think
people.
That's boring. Some people love it, but some people are like, this is really boring, which is fine.
But it's a shame, because I feel like that's such fun information, because you get real life human stories, real life stories that are genuine, and you get these real things that are happening, and that's really fun, but you're not freaking out over it. Because if someone freaked out over it, they'd be like, I'm not gonna talk to this person. Like, what the hell are they doing? Like, I just told them I liked baseball. Are they gonna freak out over that? Or I turn this light on, are they gonna like lose their shit over it? Like, no. It's a normal thing, and you're trying to communicate with them effectively.
Yes.
Whew. Oh boy, this guy that got me going. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some of the key differences between the two. Okay. So I think we've talked about the main goal, I think is probably the key difference between the two. What do you think are some other things that are really major differences between the two to help you identify what you're watching?
Oh boy. For me, I really think it's the reactions. I think the reactions are a dead giveaway for me. It's the person's reaction. You can tell the difference between somebody who is genuinely like, oh my God, did that really just happen? Like, you can tell that somebody is shocked versus somebody who's giving you the, my haunted doll said this. Like, you can tell the difference. To me, that is my dead giveaway difference, is literally how the creator speaks. That's it. Like, that's it for me.
Yeah. I think another one is a lot of times like let's take a video, for example. I think that's what we're talking about. The rest of the time, besides when the thing happens, right? Because I feel like a lot of really good paranormal investigators, when I've seen their videos, it's a lot of stuff happening, right? And that's okay. You're supposed to create the difference.
It's like
between
they'll get like 2 or 3 key moments.
2 or 3 key moments, and those will be our highlights, and that's great. But when it's like constantly firing stuff off, and then they spend
stuff is flying around,
and it's like one crazy thing happens, and they spend 10 minutes talking about it, crazy thing happens, and there's just not a lot of other stuff happening. I know that it's meant to get a reaction, right? Which is just different. Now,
I also think how they talk about the spirits
totally
is a huge thing that I look for too.
I think is a major thing here.
Respect is definitely a piece of it. Like I notice there's a lot more disrespect that goes on, a lot more provoking in paranormal entertainment. The other thing that I've noticed is like what the focus is in terms of like what's trying to be conveyed to the audience. Like, are they trying to tell that spirit story, or are they trying to tell you the most shocking things that have ever happened to that spirit? Was this so-and-so who liked the color blue, who had a family of 5 and lived here and did this and did that, and then we're doing research on the background of that person? Or is it, this is so-and-so, he died because his house burned down and everything went to shit and and it's like this very big blown out response, and it very often focuses on the worst aspects of that spirit's qualities, because those are the things that scare people again and keep people entertained. Everybody wants to know how the spirit died. Everybody, that's what people are so curious. Why are they still a ghost? And it causes you to explore that. And I see the purpose behind it. But again, it's the difference. It's not one is better than the other. It depends on what the viewer likes to watch. But it is important to know that there is a difference. The other thing is, in paranormal investigation, you'll very often see like, people looking around to try to debunk. A lot of times in paranormal entertainment, something happens, even like a complete accident, and like you see them jump straight to justifying blowing out of proportion to explain why that was paranormal activity, and not looking at all of the other factors that it could have been first. I also always say in a paranormal investigation, like some of the best paranormal investigators I've seen, some days they'll say like, hey, I just didn't find anything today. And that's okay. And there are content creators where it's like, hey, I didn't find anything today, so I'm gonna, mess around instead, on camera, or I'm gonna engage with viewers in this way, or I'm gonna teach about the paranormal, rather than needing to have, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos of paranormal activity every single day.
To get the clicks.
It doesn't have to be heavy hitting content all the time. And a lot of times in paranormal entertainment, it often is. And the results are always good, and the results are always huge. And another thing I look for is like going back, if you watch, the creator over time, or, whoever it may be, you'll see at the beginning, it's like it's more grounded. And then every video, it's like they're trying to one up themselves from the last one, and like add more shock value, get bigger activity for the next investigation. And you can tell it's kind of this like, I have to one up myself to impress my viewers, because my viewers were so impressed by the last one, I have to go wild on the next one. And so you kind of see this like rapid progression in that sense in paranormal entertainment. Again, I'm not saying it's not entertaining. It is. But, it's just, that's not the reality of a typical paranormal investigation, in which the purpose is to document. It's really to document, and you're just along for the ride.
Yeah. So I think another thing we can get into is about how production changes things.
Yep.
I think it's, a lot of times when the cameras are there, if all this stuff is going on, there's a lot of pressure to create these big things. And sometimes I think things get kind of shoehorned in when it doesn't necessarily need to be. I mean, I think a lot of good paranormal investigators let the results speak for themselves. Kind
Mm-hmm.
of what we talked about earlier. It's important to let people come to their own conclusions
Mm-hmm.
and let them try and say, okay, well, they debunked this. That's cool. They debunked this. That's cool. This is something that is really unique and really interesting. I like that. But it's not the shock value.
Right.
It's not like the crazy big thing. And it's also important to mention how it changes, throughout different episodes, different things. If you see multiple things, you mentioned how a lot of times people want to one up themselves. That's a really common thing with any form of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Every, season of the new show needs to make things a
Right.
little bit crazier.
They up their budget. Look at
They up
Stranger
their
Things.
budget. Look at Stranger Things. I mean, that like season 1 was a teeny little thing, and I was like, whoa, all these big things are happening. But I think people get like kind of lost in the sauce sometimes on that. And it's important for paranormal investigators to try and bring things back to normal.
Right.
Right. Focus on the education, focus on people coming to their own conclusions, focus on the debunking to really try to make sure people get a really authentic experience, get good education out of it.
And I think, the most important thing and something I always look for is really that showing people how that equipment works. There are so many things I see where there are people that have so many people genuinely convinced that what they're doing is real simply because those people have no idea how the equipment they're using works. I cannot tell you how many EMF meters I see used as communication, especially in Haunted Doll Land, where the EMF meter is, they're using an EMF meter on a live stream, and the EMF meter is this far away from their phone. And every time, their phone is making it fluctuate up and down. And, the people watching have no idea that that's literally the phone being on live doing that to the EMF meter. And they think like, oh my gosh, look at how much EMF activation that is. That haunted doll is, that doll is so haunted, when like really that's just a gear issue. And I think it's so important that, investigators are talking about that equipment and what the equipment does and how it works, and that the viewers understand what they're watching, because that lack of transparency can really give you an understanding of what is going on in those videos too.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Sometimes no words is more concerning than
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think I talked about it earlier, how like silence and the rest of besides the big stuff, the rest of the stuff that's going on is super important.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to know if you tried something and it didn't work. I want to know that. Right. I want to see if you go somewhere and you get a little bit of this and a little bit of that, like that's great.
Even
like
if even if you don't show it, because it's like so boring that it's like you guys don't want to watch, something happen. Even if it's just like, hey, there's narration or there's on-screen
like
text,
a mention. Yeah.
Or, we tried this, nothing happened. Then we did this, and here's the results from that because that worked better. Like just some degree of acknowledgement of what that process looked like from start to finish. I really appreciate in a paranormal investigation is like knowing like, hey, this part was cut out for this reason.
Well, because then it's clear and repeatable.
Right.
Which kind of goes back to focusing on the research, focusing on the education
evidence,
piece, part of it, as opposed to just the most entertaining thing that you can come up with.
Right.
Yeah. So, I think there's good and bad things on each side. Like, I think if you have someone who's, the good paranormal investigator we talked about, they're really research driven, and things like that. But the main goal is really the thing I think we keep coming back to of, it's important to, if someone's entertainment focused, that they have to engage the viewers and they have to be able to create these big things, which once again is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different,
Right.
So I think that we covered a lot of those things. I think that the big question now is, do you think these two things can exist in harmony? I think it's possible. I think it's tough.
I also think there are a lot of people that take a hybrid approach, and those people that take a hybrid approach makes it really hard for viewers to discern, because I have watched people that are so obviously paranormal entertainment and they're good at paranormal entertaining and they are famous beyond Get Out. There are things in those videos that are real. There are things in those videos that are real. There is equipment that is being set off. They're at a known haunted location. There is evidence, but it's like there's evidence embedded with the embellishment. And sometimes, when they have both, people get really confused because it's like, well, I heard on the spirit boxes happen, or I saw that REM pod go off on that video. It has to be an investigation. Well, some people add embellishment factors in for paranormal entertainment. So sometimes there is this like really fancy hybrid going on that makes it very hard to discern unless you're like an investigator yourself or you're very well educated in the field.
You know what to look out for. So I think the main question here is, do you think these two things can exist in harmony? I think the answer is yes. I think it's just very important to try and differentiate between the two. And I think that's why we're doing this episode, right? To really try and educate people on things to look out for, things to be aware of, and understanding the difference between the two.
And I do think, like, I see this a lot is like paranormal entertainment is like starting to become almost like a dig people are using or like an insult where it's like, oh, you don't like somebody. So it's like, well, you're doing paranormal entertainment. Like I see that all the time among creators. And I think it's very important that, as people who make this kind of content, like we're transparent because there's nothing wrong with being a paranormal entertainer if that's what you are, and there's nothing wrong with being a paranormal investigator if that's what you are. It's just important, I think, that the viewers are given more transparency because while there are very educated viewers who are actively learning about the paranormal, there are a lot of people who are not educated viewers. And, that video may be the first ghost video these persons ever watched or the first experience that they've ever had to the paranormal. And, these over dramatized views could make somebody very, very fearful of something that they may not need to be afraid of. And, there's this fine line of like, you don't know where in somebody's paranormal viewing journey or education journey that they are. So as creators, I think it's very important that we're transparent with viewers so that people understand, hey, this is a dramatized version of events. Hey, this is a genuine paranormal investigation, and that we're telling the truth because again, there's no reason to lie about it either because again, like there's value in both and there's entertainment factors actually in both. Like that's why I almost hate the phrase like paranormal entertainment. I know that's what it's called, but I almost hate that because it implies that paranormal investigations are not entertaining when they absolutely can be. And it depends. And so I think, it's unfortunate that viewers have to be the ones to take that responsibility because not every viewer knows that this is even something that exists. Some people see like, oh, my real ghost hunt in the title, and they just are immediately like, oh, okay, this is the real thing. This isn't dramatized. And so, not every consumer knows, unfortunately. And so I think being transparent is a very important thing. And I also don't think there's anything wrong with it. And you shouldn't be ashamed to be on either side of the coin because there's a place for both. It's just when they are unintentionally overlapped in a way that you can't tell which is which, where it becomes problematic, especially for people in the investigation camp. It's like, as a paranormal investigator, it is very disappointing to me when I see somebody invalidating genuine paranormal evidence because of something they saw in paranormal entertainment. Or thinking, hey, this activity is less than because it's real. I see that a lot is like, oh, this is not good evidence because it's not huge evidence. Sometimes the best evidence is very, very subtle. But paranormal entertainment sometimes leads people to believe that it has to be this big banging thing for it to be genuine. And that's just not the case. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a pretty extensive
Yes.
overview of the topic. I think there's a lot of great information in there. I think it's important to recognize the difference between the two.
Yeah.
And I think it's a conversation that could literally go on for hours.
Oh, yeah.
So there's always new things happening, but we enjoy both sides.
Yeah, definitely. We enjoy and respect both sides and the creators in both sides. Again, I think, as investigators, like I tend to be more drawn personally to watching other investigators because that is what I do. But that doesn't mean that somebody does otherwise is doing anything wrong. Because in my opinion, personally, like I think, there's a lot of bad exposure that the paranormal gets, but at the same time, I like that paranormal entertainment, the people doing that get people engaged in paranormal content that otherwise would not watch, because of how entertaining and how fun it is. And there are a lot of people that start even getting into paranormal content watching paranormal entertainment, and then they realize as they watch, they're like, wait, this isn't real. Now I'm going to look at the real investigation, because I'm more interested in the paranormal now, because it was kind of a gateway for me. So, I think that paranormal entertainment is a great way to get more people exposed to the paranormal, to normalize it in conversation, to, get people watching, because there are so many viewers of paranormal entertainment. And there are a lot of skeptics that watch paranormal entertainment because it's fun. And then they end up like, hey, I really believe in this. And it allows them to kind of get onto their spiritual journey or investigation journey, or seeking more answers. And I think there's a lot to be said about that, because not every paranormal investigation video is the most entertaining thing in the world, and somebody that is not 100% already bought into watching paranormal content a lot of times is not going to watch that.
Absolutely.
So that's my soapbox on that.
Yes.
We talk about this with like every investigator that we work with, is like this fine balance. And there are people that navigate the balance really well, and they will put like, this is from a real paranormal investigation, this is a skit, this is a real and they'll just label their stuff really transparently, and I think that's awesome too. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's time we get to our spirit of the week.
Yes, it is. So hang tight for our commercial break. Have your dance party. Run to get yourself a snack. And we will see you shortly with our spirit of the week. See you soon. I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past. I'm all achieving. Got my foot on the gas. Never stop competing. If you break my glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas.
So we are back from our commercial break with our spirit of the week.
It's Arian Wen.
Arian Wen. One of my favorite names.
Yes, it's a gorgeous name.
Taylor, why don't you tell us
some time to figure out how to say it, though.
Oh, that was in the phase where some of the names we got were a little tough.
Yeah.
Like we got Evney, we got Arian Wen, we got Teresia. Like some of those names were a little. We got like this one. We got like Neoxa.
Yeah, a bunch of accents, and we had to learn our vocab.
I feel much better now with these names.
Oh yeah.
But there was a period there where it was a little tough.
Yeah.
We're getting off track.
Well, we just wanted to do it right so bad that it was like,
yes, I'm gonna go bad. For
I know it.
Time.
I'm pronouncing it right. I've looked it up 200 times, and I'm gonna look it up 200 more times to make sure that I get it right, just in case.
And I know I'm never gonna say it like in their accent.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna try my best.
Yes.
But Taylor, why don't you tell us a little bit about Arian Wen and how they got here?
So Arian Wen is such an incredible spirit. She is one of those spirits that we work with more privately, so you guys don't see her as much, because typically when we talk to Arian Wen, the session is full of her giving us life advice on situations and supporting us and on personal matters that we have going on, because Arian Wen is one of those spirits where She is quiet, but she is always watching. She is always paying attention. She is always evaluating, and she is always wanting to make sure that she can help you as much as possible. And that is something I love about her. When we got Arian, we didn't have a ton of spirits that were like true guides. And so it took some time for us because both of us kind of have this feeling about working with spirits is like we want to give way more than we take, and so like I get really weird about like asking spirits to do things for me and give me info. Like I don't feel comfortable with that. I'm not good at asking for help in general, even from living people. And for spirits, I'm like even worse with it because I never want anybody to feel taken advantage of. And Arian was one of those spirits who was like every single time she came on, like, are you going to ask me for help? Are you going to ask me for anything?
Yeah, kind of like coaxing us and be like, hey, you're supposed to be asking me for help. I'm just going to be very polite and nice about it. And she does it much nicer than a couple of other spirits who are a little bit more direct.
Yes.
Arian is very, very kind, and she takes it very slowly.
Yes.
And I appreciate that very much as someone who does not pick up hints very well.
Yes.
She does a really nice job.
Her communication style is very interesting, and I've never even met a living person who has a communication style quite like hers. It's like she is very direct, and she'll tell you exactly what you need to hear, but she does and sometimes it can be like a harsh truth of like, hey, like we really need to deal with this. But the way that she does it in a way where it's like your ego is always spared. Like she's not telling, and she makes sure like I want to help you. And she'll spew information at you for 30 minutes straight, no stop. You're like barely even asking questions, and she's just rattling off things to do. And then at the end, she'll be like, so did you learn anything today? Like
she's so kind.
She's very humble about the way she goes about it. Like some of our spirits are like, listen, I know better, and I'm tell you I know better. She's like, I'm going to drop all this information. Can you please tell me if you learned anything? Was that helpful for you? And you're like, yes it was.
Meanwhile, also being incredibly talented.
Yes.
And very, very, very good at what she does.
Yeah, she's amazing. She does worship Caradwyn, which is a goddess that we talked about a little bit in previous episodes with Evney. Evney also worships Caradwyn. They are besties, the two of them. And that is very important to them. The whole thing behind Caradwyn, it's really about, like rebirth and renewal. And Arian comes out a lot to talk to us. I notice like during season changes, we get her a lot. At the new year, she always shows up at the new year, and she's like, let's talk about your goals for the year. Or at the end of the year, let's reflect on your year. How did it go? What can you do better for next year? What are you very proud of? Like, and she comes, like, she always tends to come at these times where it is really important to self-reflect, just to make sure we're doing it in case we forgot. And I love that about her. I think it's really cool. I love the like relationship the two of you have. And like, I think like her communication style suits your personality really well. And she like does a really good job. Just she really knows what the person she's talking to needs. And she's not the same with everybody. It's not, oh, this is my style of giving advice and giving support. And, I'm going to give it my way, regardless of who I'm talking to. Like she really caters the way she goes about things to the individuals she is talking to. And it is always well received. Like absolutely. It's always well received.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
let's get into some of these questions.
Yeah, she had some great ones.
Great questions being asked. We had our first question is from someone who goes by Witchy Collector. Shout out. Their question is, how could one be more intuitive and healing in the same time frame? Excellent question.
It's a good question. I love that.
A good question for her too.
Yeah, perfect. Somebody watched her story. She is a healer. I forgot about
that. And Arian once said, only giving guidance meant to help and knowing when to filter messages that could cause harm. I then had a follow-up question. I was like, how do you figure out what messages to filter? And she said, discipline and morals. which I feel like is two things that she's got locked
She's got
down.
a lot of both.
She's got a lot of both.
A lot of
locked
both.
down on those. Next question is from Witchy Collector. Any important lessons for us into astrology? Arian said, I would use it as a tool for self-improvement. Astrology is a springboard to self-reflection, not a fact about what will happen.
I think that's a good note. I don't know a lot about astrology. That's like not my area of expertise. Like my knowledge of astrology is like me reading like Cosmopolitan magazine when I was in high school and like seeing what my horoscope was and being like, oh my God, this is going to happen to me next week.
True.
You know, and so that's a really cool take on that. I love that.
Yeah. And I think she has a really unique talent of being able to say so many things in so few words. Like she just like
spirit box skill that they have.
Like that. She says the right things in the right order and it just.
And in the right way.
Yeah.
Like,
it just
works.
It works. It's just it, you know?
It's it.
I don't have a word to explain it, but I think you know what I mean. Okay. Next question from Witchy Collector. Who's one bestie you have there, spirit-wise and or human-wise? And of course, Arian Wen said, Evnie. She said, we practice together, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes, they do.
They are.
That is that the two of them are an item.
They are homies.
They go together.
Mm-hmm.
We had Evnie first, and Evnie had us get Arian one.
Yes.
That was like it wasn't an option.
It was a non-negotiable. When you have a spirit like that tells you, hey, we need to get this spirit, you say, okay.
Yeah. Okay. No, it was a direction. It wasn't a request. And I'm glad she gave that direction because it was a great direction.
Well, and it was also something where she was like, hey, you should get this person. And then we saw her and we were like, oh, we would have gotten her anyway. Like, this is supposed to work out.
She made sure we knew it, though. It's so funny. They're so opposites because Evnie can be very like,
she can lay down the law.
Lay it down.
She'll lay it down.
And then Arian one is like, did I help?
Yeah. Yes.
And Evnie's like, you better take my advice.
Yes.
You're like, okay.
Yes. But then again, like Arian one can be like pretty firm with it.
Yeah.
Like she does not, she'll tell you as it is. Like she won't sugarcoat stuff.
Yeah.
But she'll say it in the sweetest way. You're like, oh, I don't feel bad.
And you're like, I'm pretty sure you just like leveled me right there. But
yeah,
okay.
But
I'm not offended.
I felt so nice afterward.
I felt good.
Which I think is an incredible skill.
I wish I had that skill.
You and me both. Okay. Next question from Witchy Collector. Any knowledge you'd like to give to us watching? And Reen said, of course.
Of course.
Don't make large decisions when escalated emotionally. Important skill. Excellent answer. Last question from Witchy Collector. Any help learning the communication equipment when just learning from a spirit's point of view? And Rian said, dedication and keeping a calm environment. There you go. Dedication is a really strong message of hers. Being consistency, dedication.
She's all about consistency with everything.
Learning how to fail, learning how to, keep trying when things don't go right. That's a really common thing that she talks about.
She's very into like it's not the destination with her. And with a lot of spirits, that is the destination. With her, it's like it's a lot of like, here's what we need to work towards, and we are going to talk about how you're going to do that and how you're going to do that on a regular basis, not just do it once because I talked to you about it and then never do it again. It's like, oh, okay, like how are we going to make this something that is sustainable? How are we going to make this something that we can make sure happens every day? Because that's what will help you. Doing it one time is not going to make you feel better, but doing it repetitively is going to make you feel better. One piece of advice, for example, she's given that I think is great advice was like a gratitude practice. Like she told Mitch, like having a gratitude practice is very important. Like, how are we going to do this? When are you going to do it? Are you going to do it, before bed or, and you have to write it down? And she like made sure that it wasn't just like, Mitchell, practice gratitude. It was, Mitchell, I think this would be a good New Year's resolution. Okay, here are all of the different things you can do to make that happen this year. And
she gave me like 7 tasks.
Yeah. And the last one, Mitchell's choice.
Mitchell's choice. Pick something.
Mitchell got to pick one New Year's resolution for himself.
I was
all the rest.
I was voluntold.
Yes.
She's
like, the last one, Mitchell.
Last one,
your
choice. Like, oh, great. How amazing.
Great. Thank you.
Next question is from Spider. This is a great question. So they asked, I take care of low activity spirits. They have a difficult time using most equipment, so I often have to use divination and intuition for what they need or want. Do you have any advice for someone in my situation? I occasionally feel a lot of self-doubt in my abilities when activity is at its lowest. I imagine there are many people who experience the same. There are people who experience the same. Arian once said, I don't do anything physical. Intuition is important, but need balance with things we can do to stay grounded and not assuming incorrectly. Find a way to confirm your thought. Intuition is wrong for everyone sometimes.
That's a great answer.
And
a great spirit to ask too, because like Arian one is like, she is a talker. That is what she does. She will talk to you all day. Arian one is not going to be dropping things off of her shelf. You know, she is not going to be playing pranks. She's not going to be knocking on the walls. Like, we have never seen any of that with her. Like, the only thing we have is she communicates and her facial expression changes. And her facial expression is always a very good way to know, to kind of support your intuition, where it's like, is she looking a little curious today? Is she looking like she wants to talk to you? Is she looking more like she's busy and occupied? You know, it's like you kind of like look at her face and you can figure things out, but she's not a spirit that I would consider high activity by any means. But again, and we've been talking about this a lot lately, just in general, is like high activity does not mean better spirit. You know, it's just they're all individuals and they all have their own ways of getting their point across. And some spirits get their point across by running down your hallway and being a menace. Other spirits get their point across by, you know, telepathy, and they're talking to you in your head, and you know, they're giving you guidance and they're helping steer you on your path. Like, they're all so different. And Arian one is definitely one where, I mean, she's a huge presence in our house, but not in the same way where she's doing all of these things in the environment, but she's still a huge presence in our house and in our lives.
Absolutely.
So, and that's amazing.
Yes. Next question is from Spider. They said, I absolutely adore your dress. Your vessel is so pretty. She butted in here and she said, thank you. When I was asking the question, by the way, she was like, thank you. The rest of your question was there something in particular that made you choose this one? And Arian one said, like I said, she said, thank you. And she said, it looks like me.
I love her vessel, by the way. I was just
talking about
this before,
yeah.
But her vessel is like a handmade, one of a kind doll. And so she looks like this like fancy porcelain doll. But the really interesting thing about her is because she's handmade, her whole like body is like Beanie Baby material. Like, it has the little like beans inside, and so she's like super squishy, and then she just has like the porcelain like feet, arms, and face, and everything else. It's like she's Beanie Baby-esque and is so soft and snuggly. So
very fun.
I just always
you
like
don't
to tell
normally
this about
get
her.
that either.
No, we've never seen it before. It's just so cute. Like,
Yeah.
I remember taking her out of the box when we first met her. She's been here a year now, and I was like, she's soft and squishy, and I love her.
That's true. That's true. And we were just talking about, she has great hair.
She does.
And it's
Excellent hair.
never out of place.
No.
And some of our spirits' hair gets a little all over the place. And not a bad thing, right?
And we don't even know how.
We don't know how. Like, we have a
It's just
couple
like, why is
spirits.
your hair all
Why
over
is
the
your hair all over the place? I don't know. It's just kind of how it goes. But hers is never.
It's immaculate.
It's always very well taken care of.
Yes.
Next question is from Spider. They asked, do you have any favorite crystals? I love a unikite and black tourmaline. And Arian one said, yes. Pink ones. All of them.
Well,
there you go.
there
Can
you
you
go.
tell?
She does like pink. We always do pink offerings for her because it's very important to her. So
She's a pink girly.
yeah, she is pink girly.
Next question from Spider. What's something you think is often overlooked in spiritual work? And she said, the ability to recognize your own shortcomings. There you go.
Yeah.
Excellent answer. Next question is from Spider. What's something that makes you happiest? And they said, my guinea pigs make me happy. It's precious.
Spider does have very cute guinea pigs.
I mean, cute guinea pigs would make me happy too. And Arian one said, Caradwin, like we mentioned.
Yep.
That's her girl.
She's another one like Evney where she's always trying to recruit people to worshiping Caradwin. She's always trying to drop hints that that's important to her.
Yes. Last question is from Spider. Are you a mentor to any of the spirits in the house? Great question. And Arianlyn said, I often give advice to teenage girls. And we have plenty of those.
Yep. Plenty of people to give advice to.
So I think that's a good thing. And then I said, do you have anything else? She said, no. She said, thank you. Hope you learned today.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
There every time. Every time. Did you learn something? What did you learn? I hope you learned.
I hope you learned something.
Hope this was useful for you.
It was. It was Irene when it was.
Yeah. She always checks your knowledge. Like she wants to make sure you walk away with something. Even if you missed stuff or something didn't resonate, you got to walk away from a talk with Arian with something that you can take on your journey. So hopefully one of those answers resonated with you and you learned something.
Yes. And we hope you learned something about our conversation between the difference between paranormal investigations and entertainment.
Yes. So thank you guys for being here. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day. Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Wait, that's perfect. I did not do that on purpose with having our pink girly Arian who's all about love on Valentine's Day. Isn't that funny how that worked out? That was a complete.
What a coincidence.
That was a complete accident. Yeah. But there you go.
There you go.
Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for watching as always. And if you have any future questions for us on this topic, this is always a very interesting topic to discuss with other people. Feel free to drop your questions in the comments for us. Ask us questions in the Discord server. We're always happy to talk about this topic further. I know this is one that is like kind of constantly ever evolving because the more the media evolves, the more difficult it can be to tell. Because there are AI videos now that look like genuine paranormal evidence.
Yeah, I think it's a real hot topic right now.
It is. And so sometimes it can be difficult to tell. So I think, discussing with people with different viewpoints, different ways of watching things, different things that they pay attention to is always very helpful. So feel free to reach out with those questions. We would love to chat about them with you. Thank you to our members who support us every single month. You guys are amazing. For those of you who don't know about our membership, we do have a membership where we do members only lives every single Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Those are for Spirit Box sessions. So you guys can actually be there live asking questions to the spirits during an Estes Method session and see what they say. We never know what Friday night's going to look like. Sometimes we get chaos gremlins having a good time. Other times you get life advice with Evney and Arian. You just never know what you're going to get. So if you're interested in those, please check out our membership. We also have another tier that is our lives plus exclusive content. Different tutorials that are not accessible to the public, wave sessions, all different things like that. And behind the scenes investigation footage, there will be some fancy stuff coming in there soon. Wink, wink. But thank you guys as always. And we will catch you on the flip side. Bye, everybody.